Okay, and Zoom. What? No, I'm in a meeting. You're all right, I'll have a cup of tea. Oh, hello, Kate.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So, Kate, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your day job is?
I am producer for Graeae Theatre Company. We are the UK's leading deaf and disabled led theatre company. We've been around for nearly 40 years, and my job is to kind of manage that artistic programme, budgeting, contracting, looking after our freelancers, making sure that artists are in the right place at the right time, travel, accommodation, all of the logistics.
Sounds like a fun job.
It is a fun job.
We're going to start off with the overarching question. What do you think we need to be aware of when creating and implementing our COVID-19 responses to ensure that we aren't accidentally excluding?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big question, isn't it? And I
That's it.
think there's a lot of things that people are talking about, not just about post-COVID, but all the kind of cultural conversations we've been having about who are the gatekeepers to culture at this time, particularly in response to the Black Lives Matters protests as well. I think this feels like a really interesting time to sort of pause and reset and rethink. A big part of what I've been doing is kind of ensuring that the diversity agenda stays on the table. And obviously there is such a thing as intersectionality. I can't say that word.
Yeah.
And I think, this has been also an interesting time because it seems to me that people are talking to each other more across the sector at the moment.
What's Graeae's journey been over the last 3 months? I mean, what was sort of like the immediate responses that you did, and sort of what are you thinking about doing now?
One of the immediate things we talked about was the fact that we wanted to make sure that our artists still had a platform during this time for their
Mm.
voices. Nikki Walden, who is our associate director, came up with the brilliant idea of the program of Crips Without Constraints. So every Monday we've been releasing a new monologue piece of work that's been filmed at home, directed by either Nikki or Jenny, which was we set out quite quickly actually, and I think has been really appreciated by the deaf and disabled community, that their voices have been heard. The deaf and disabled experience has been heightened actually, I think, through what's happened during COVID. So I think that's been a really important thing that we've been able to do, making sure that the emergency funding that's been given trickles down to the freelancers. They make up 70% of this industry. And then kind of planning and replanning and replanning for what the future might be.
Will there be a difference in how you sort of open and operate the building moving forward?
Yes, I think there will have to be. And, how we support people to actually get to the building and get to work again. And also for our artists that are still shielding, and we ensure that they don't feel left out, because I think that's a big consideration as well.
What do you think is going to change for the sort of creative program in relation to what we've been through?
The digital stuff isn't always accessible for everyone either,
Mm.
and working out how we can almost do both simultaneously with the same content, so that people who want to be at home can still access it, but those people who, for actually the digital stuff really doesn't work, can also access it. I've been talking to artists who are worried that they'll get left behind again they because they'll be seen as high risk.
Yeah.
Where we just started making these strides, and then this kind of knocked everything back again.
What is on your headache list at the moment?
I mean, I think it's actually interesting because it's the same things that are always on my headache list of
Okay.
of having to be constantly in these spaces where access and disabled and deaf people are being forgotten. It's 2020, man. Why is it still
Yeah.
happening? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're still my headaches. They've not gone away because of COVID. The kind of longer term financial issues are going to hit us harder when we want to start touring and making work again. Also, in terms of support staff, our access workers, our BSL interpreters, people that we work with really closely who we couldn't do our work without, and how we safeguard them and make them feel comfortable about coming back to work. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't have all the answers yet. I don't think anyone has all the answers yet.
Okay, that's why I got you on here.
And you know, as a company, people need to be thinking about how they make those bold pledges to ensure that not only on stage voices, but also backstage voices, producers, operations managers, and across the whole board, and those people that kind of hold the keys as well, are as diverse as they possibly can be, because that's the point where it's going to feel like change is really coming.
It's just really interesting to sort of hear about the current thinking from an organisation like Graeae. So that's it.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Nice to see you.
That was a great chat.
Kate Baiden, producer, Graeae Theatre Company, www.graeae.org. Now actually I will spell that because it's got a funny spelling. Graeae, Graeae. See what I mean? Twitter @Graeae, Facebook @Graeae, Instagram @Graeae Theatre Company.